Gentlemen, we are back with more of Team Fortress 2's most, we'll say avant-garde creator. This is Cen0. You POOT that. Let's get into it. Can I? Okay, shout out to Heavy for wearing the bandana. Whoa, wait, hold on. What? This is like Medic's face, but just Botoxed to the max. Like, you ever seen that guy who has the plastic surgery addiction, whose face is like all Botox? That's what Medic's got going on here. Gotta say, you ever seen people whose faces have just a little too much Botox? What it does is it's a paralytic. So it actually freezes muscles on the face sort of in a tightened position. So what it'll do is it'll tighten out wrinkles. But the trade-off is that you often end up with parts of your face paralyzed, and so it can actually reduce the expressiveness of your face overall. So a genuine smile, right, we would have some sort of wrinkles by the eyes, and like like right, like your eyes are naturally going to kind of wrinkle up a little bit, and your eyebrows will kind of like raise just a bit. None of those things will happen, and it'll be really subtle, but it'll be like off-putting. That's kind of that, like, well, people joke about like the Hollywood fake smile, like your favorite reality show. I think that's a big part of it, is the sense that like their smiles seem fake because key parts of what human beings use to identify a correct smile isn't there. Again, why do I keep pausing it here? Wait, okay. Wait, we're gonna back it up frame by frame. Okay, this is all in Russian, so we have Suka Blyat, right? That sounds like a Tarkov reference. Sas or Sus? The real questions. And then some stuff in Cyrillic I don't understand. Okay. And then a fake Russian Cen0. See here on the bottom right, it says CENO0. That's not Cen0's actual name. The question that I'm really curious about with celebrities is that with female, at least U.S. Celebrities, like plastic surgery is increasingly normalized, fillers and Botox and that sort of thing. With men, it's not as clear, and I don't know if that's because socially, right, male stars are just sort of given permission to age, but there's also a lot of male like action hero types who look significantly younger than they I don't want to say should, but if you look at the UFC, right? UFC has Olympic level testing. Truly, their active roster is as close to clean as you can get. And if you're a 40-something UFC fighter, and they look their age, right? You can see that their body's holding a lot more fat, that it has much less muscle mass. You can see that they've kind of slowed down. In contrast, when you look at Hollywood action heroes, often whom these are guys who are in their 40s when they are filming these roles, they look just shredded at their absolute peak. And while it's definitely possible through diet, there's not a lot of men in their 40s who can totally recompose their body and add 10 pounds plus of muscle. It's really hard to do. And I'm not the expert. Filion, and who's the other guy? More Plates, More Dates, that guy. They seem to be like, they at least speak as though they're more authoritative on the subject. But I am as certain as the day is long that if you can't stop professional athletes who are contractually forbidden from using steroids, if you can't stop them from using steroids to enhance their performance, there is no way that a Hollywood action hero would not use steroids to get ready for a role. There's just no way. So I think that's sort of the male counterpoint. The other counterpoint for male vanity interventions is, of course, hair loss, right? You notice that in the 90s, if you look at early 90s movies, that there really are a lot of bald and balding characters, or characters with receding hairlines, especially villains for whatever reason. And then after that, there were none, right, into the 2000s. Some of that is the invention of male hair loss drugs like finasteride, and of course, improved accessibility of hair transplants. Obviously, that's not really something I care that much about, but I think it's really interesting the social pressure that Hollywood especially puts on men to look that way. This is the strangest lyrics I have ever heard. Also, what is this guy Heavy is fighting? I'm so confused. Okay, one of the things, back it up a couple frames, one of the things that I was not prepared for when I really, and I was around, I'd say 30 or so, that I started like shaving my hair as short as I do now. And one of the things I was not prepared for, I judge harshly. I don't want to say judge harshly. This isn't fair. I will never be the sort of person who is like, people won't know I'm bald if I wear a hat all the time. And there's there's some men who are like bald or cut their hair short, and they're like, I'm going to wear a hat to compensate. And they wear a hat everywhere, indoors, outdoors, just wherever they are, they have a hat on. And like, you can see, it's kind of off-putting to see like a man in a ratty baseball cap in like a pretty nice restaurant. And I was like, I'll never be that person until I realized your hair protects the top of your head from sunburn, like a lot. And there's a lot of times where you have to realize like the rest of your body is not going to be in direct sunlight as much as the top of your head. There's literally nothing there to cover it. So suddenly I was like, man, I need to become a hat person. Hat indoors, tacky, right? Unless you're working in like a refrigerator, just take your hat off. But hat outdoors, now I'm like, I'm kind of a hat guy. Not all the time, but anytime in the summer during the day, yeah. Is there a verse to this song? Whoa. Oh, Ricardo Milos. It's a parody. Oh, it's finally clicked. I can't believe this has 2 million views. Though we're only 55 seconds in, and okay, I've already turned this into an 8-minute video. Let's just move forward a little bit. I really want to see if there's a verse. Medic's plastic surgery face gives me the absolute creeps, by the way. Okay, so normally pop songs will actually, in probably the 90s and before, if you listen to like the top, up until about maybe 95, if you listen to top performing songs, they often had catchy melodies and fun lyrics and the like, but they generally followed a formula of an intro, a first verse, a chorus, second verse, chorus, often not a coda, not a refrain, that like intervening thing where they like kind of change the keys. They would do that, then they would do the final verse or the final refrain, the final chorus. And what's interesting is around 95 or so, record companies realized that, as YouTube realized many decades later, audience retention is so incredibly important. And the first 30 seconds of their audience's attention is ridiculously important. And so they would actually set it up so that the hook of the song, the catchiest part, right? Hit me baby one more time or whatever, will show up in the first 30 seconds. And that's not an accident. It's intentionally done to hook the listener in so that they stick around for the remaining 4 minutes of the song, and more importantly, buy the album, listen to the ads on the radio, etc., etc. So something like this, where you're a minute 26 seconds in before you get to what I assume will be a beat drop, is pretty off-putting, pretty unconventional.
It's got that.
Now, obviously, with the dawn of Spotify, there's more niche communities and algorithmically driven songs. There are some people who like music that never really resolves to a chorus, right? When I would teach jiu-jitsu, I would want something that was like, had a beat, but was a little bit more ambient, right? So it wouldn't interfere with people hearing the instruction or concentrating. And that never really, like, it would slowly kind of get towards a chorus or a repeating melody and then work its way out, but never really did that, right? And there's a lot of like indie music that doesn't do that either. So audiences now, you're not catering to the lowest common denominator. And that's one of the best things about algorithmic, the modern world is driven by algorithms. For all the bad in it, you have to realize, like, at the end of the day, my content, for example, will never be as big as Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast, in order to be that big, he has to apply to like the lowest common denominator. And that's how his videos appear. His videos appear as though they are like a series of TikToks strung together. Obviously, I'm not here doing this. I'm spending 11 minutes. I've literally spent 10 minutes talking for every 1 minute of video play. So, but the algorithm knows that there's some people, you, dear viewer, who enjoys this sort of very, very deep commentary, who enjoys these deep dives into topics that you could never do and be successful as Mr. Beast. You could probably be successful, obviously, as a podcaster and do it, but the algorithm gives more niche people more room to thrive. And I think whatever bad things you say about the algorithm, that is so cool to me. That instead of being like you can consume whatever content is on one of 3 studio networks, now you can get whatever content, whatever hobby strikes your fancy. Video by Cen0. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Is this even his song? Am I gonna get copyright claimed for this? This is the most cursed medic I've ever seen. Like, truly, this is like nightmarishly cursed. I'm so weirded out. Guys, I don't even know where we're going with this. Do I need to do this at like 2 times speed? I just want to see. Okay, closed captioning is on, but it's just given up. It's just given up. It's like, you know where this is going, man, right? And we're all just like, yeah, I know. Like, I wonder how many plays this song has on Spotify. So apparently Spotify's compensation rate for artists is like Italy, is like comically low. And most artists, right, they make their money on live shows now, especially independent artists, right? Live shows, merch, that's it. That's it. That's where they make their money, because the distribution channels are just so very, very low in compensation. But again, it used to be, if you wanted to get signed by a record company, you would have to do these big wraparound A&R deals. And, the record company would say, oh, we're going to spend all this money promoting you, right? but they would do that like Hollywood accounting. So the record company will have their own promotional department, right, with their own promo people. And honestly, those promo people are fixed cost, right? You have your 100 promo people. They're going to sponsor, they're going to promote whatever artist the record company tells them to do, right? Whether they do 10 a month or 9 a month is immaterial, right? The additional costs are pretty low. But the record company would say, okay, artist, we are going to front you some money. We're going to loan you $2 million, and we're going to promote your album. We're going to record it, and we're going to get it printed and distributed. Well, remember that, studio time, let's say studio time is like $100 an hour, right, is what they charge you. But if you own the studio, your costs are only like $35 an hour. And if you're, again, if you're Interscope or a major record label, you own the studio and you employ the audio engineer, right? So it's even cheaper for you to put your artist in that booth and to promote them, right? But then you say, actually, your marketing budget, you had to pay the recording studio, right, who's owned by a subsidiary, and that was, $80,000, right? Oh, and you had to pay for the marketing, even though it was another subsidiary, and that was $1 million. And you have to pay all these things, and then the record company is like, okay, great. Now that your record is live, we need to sell so many copies until the record label makes back its money from you. And the truth is, for a lot of artists that get signed, their record label, the record sales would never compensate it. They would never make enough money for it to be worthwhile. So, you would have these super artists that were successful, but it would just be an expectation that for every one Lady Gaga, right, you'd have 30 busts, 30 albums that just never took off. And so the result is that even Lady Gaga, who makes a lot of money on an album, might not actually see that much money. A lot of it will just pass through her and right back to the record labels. And you can see Taylor Swift got embroiled in a version of this with the ownership of her masters, because legally the mastering of a song is considered a distinct artistic work from the recorded song, right? Because a master by an audio engineer is considered its own sort of art form. And so someone else purchased the masters to her music, meaning that they would actually collect a significant share of the royalties from her own music, which is sort of silly because, mastering a music is challenging. But if you listen to Spotify, which now has a robust set of songs labeled Taylor's version, which denotes that she paid for her own mastering, they sound identical. They are indistinguishable from the originals, even though they were recorded like a decade apart. Remember music videos, guys? Music videos were so big. I mean, remember MTV? That was all their channel was. It was music news, because the music news seemed really important back then, and it was music videos. And now I don't know if I've seen a music video for a popular song. Not in years, which is just fascinating that used to be a staple of promoting a song was shooting a music video. There used to be 2 dedicated music video channels on most cable networks, MTV and VH1. And it's crazy because now MTV has almost no original programming, which is, just wild to me. MTV used to have the MTV Awards. They used to be the hub of like modern music. And to see them just having like completely fallen off the radar, completely degraded into just reruns of bad reality shows is like, a sign of the times, right? There's so much better content than the schlock MTV put out, especially when they started doing reality shows. But that's neither here nor there. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining me onto this deep, strange dive into You POOT That, apparently a music video by Cen0, dedicated to our boy Heavy. Be sure to hit the subscribe button. I'll see you next time.